everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Truth About Social Media, What Small Businesses Need to Know. My name is Riley McLaughlin, and I will be your webinar host for today. And I'm also joined by Ryan Cunningham, who will be presenting today's webinar. But before I pass it off to Ryan, just some quick housekeeping. So this webinar is being recorded. So what's going to happen is because you registered, tomorrow morning, you're going to get an email with a link to the webinar recording, and you'll also get a link to the slides as well. We will have a Q&A section. So if you do have any questions at any time, you should see a little box on whatever device you're attending from. Just go ahead and put your question in there, and then I'm going to be monitoring those while Ryan is presenting. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Ryan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Cunningham. I am the social media manager here at Main Street ROI, as well as an account manager. So I am going to be presenting this webinar to you today. So why we're here. So small businesses are exhausted by social media. You're wearing so many hats, you've got so many things to do, and you're wondering yourself, what should we do? So, you post things, nothing happens. Questions like, do I really need to be on TikTok? Or does this even bring in customers for my business? So today, you're going to actually learn what's working and what isn't, and what you should focus on in 2025 moving into 2026. Again, my name is Ryan Cunningham, social media manager, LinkedIn, YouTube ad specialist here at Main Street ROI. I have 12 years of marketing experience across B2B and B2C sectors. I founded and operated a successful marketing agency for 8 years. I specialize in designing and managing organic and paid social media campaigns, YouTube ad campaigns, and LinkedIn ad campaigns for small businesses and enterprise clients. So why social media matters? We'll just go ahead and dig into this right away with some statistics. So 71% of consumers actually research a business first, a local business, before visiting them. So this means that people are going to check you out on social media to make sure that you're active, that you do have a profile, you have a business page. 78% of consumers discover a new local business through social media. 3x more foot traffic when businesses are active on social media profiles. Organic social media is 62% cost savings compared to traditional ads. And then businesses experience a 24% revenue growth compared to businesses not active on social media when they're actually active and posting with frequency. So you don't have to dominate social media, but they're, invisible costs. It can cost you real sales if you're not on social media. So here's the truth, and this is what a lot of people won't tell you, agencies, gurus, you name it. The truth is social media is not your #1 lead generator. You might have experienced that yourself. Typically search, referrals, email, ads are typically going to beat organic social for direct leads, and we're talking about direct leads. But number two, if you're inactive, customers will assume that you're closed, you're unprofessional, you're not trustworthy, or you just don't care. And from a personal perspective, when I'm the consumer, that's exactly me. If I hear about a business and I go to their social media accounts and there's cobwebs there and they haven't posted in 3 months, or maybe they just post once a month, or maybe they don't even have a profile at all, especially if I'm looking at spending more than $100 or something, I'm normally going to be turned off by that. And I think a lot of consumers are the same way. You might be the same as well. Number 3, social media marketing today is more of assist marketing. It helps people decide who to choose and to choose you over the competitors. So the advantage you have, the first mover advantage, is just even being active on social media to begin with. Putting some time into it and posting with some frequency so that people know, the consumers know, and potential clients know that you are open for business. So the big problem is expectations versus reality. So most small businesses will expect, you post something, it goes viral, you get customers or clients, and rinse and repeat. But the reality is you need to post consistently, build trust, boost your best content, create awareness, and that will in turn increase sales over time. So it's more of a snowball and not a slot machine. So myths and misconceptions. So myth number one, if I post promotional content, I'll get sales. Wrong. Overselling destroys reach. That's not what the algorithms are built for. Value is what grows audiences. The algorithm is there to make sure people are getting value and being entertained, and they want people to stay on the platforms. They're not there to, push promotional content. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. Myth number two, you need to be active everywhere. Sure, if you're using a social media scheduler, you create the content. I'm a big proponent of saying, post it everywhere you can. That is definitely true. However, as far as like actually making the content specifically for a platform and getting good at a platform, most small businesses should just master 2 platforms instead of trying to focus on everything, because it becomes overwhelming, and the platforms they can be very different from each other. Number 3, TikTok is mandatory. I'm sure you've been hearing this the last 3 to 5 years, possibly. It is powerful, but not every single business needs to be on TikTok. It may not even be a good match. Not to mention you've got the time constraints and the resources to produce all of that video content, which requires a lot. In the case of TikTok, normally you need to post not even just one time a day. Sometimes you need to post multiple times a day. It is a great place, and a lot of Gen Z and younger, they use that as a search engine as well to find things. So it depends on your industry, and it also depends on what customers you serve. Are they local, regional, or national or international? Myth number 4, posting twice a day will help. Other than TikTok and possibly Instagram, you can get away with it, but in most cases like Facebook or LinkedIn, if you're posting, more than once a day, especially if those posts are close together, you're actually going to kill your reach, because your posts are then competing against each other, and it's just going to drop your reach. I've saw this with several clients, where they thought they were doing the right thing because they were posting, 3 times a day, almost every day. And then we come in, change some things around. They're posting, 3 to 4 times a week at the most. And all of a sudden their reach goes up, their engagement goes up. So I know it sounds counterintuitive. You always hear, oh, be on social media, post, post, post. That's not necessarily the case. There is a rhythm to it. Posting 3 to 5 times, per week is optimal in most cases. Myth number 5, if nothing happens in 30 days, it's not working. I see this all the time. Businesses will say, we went hard on this. We posted, every day for 30 days or 45 days or maybe even 2 months. They're like, we haven't really seen anything from it. You can't look at social media as, it's not an ad. It's not a promotional ad where you're running a Facebook ad or a Google search ad. This is organic, number 1. Number 2, it takes time to build trust and to reach different segments and, to reach your audience that you even have following you. So it's one of those things where it builds momentum. Organic growth takes some time, but it is a reward in the end. It's delayed reward. So normally at the 2 to 3 month mark is when you're going to be able to look at your data, and you're going to say, okay, we're starting to see some movement here. We're getting, if you're using Google Analytics, you'll start seeing traffic coming from social media. You'll start, seeing your engagement go up, your reach go up. The algorithm basically rewards people who are consistent and that stick with it. And it's that way with every platform, even YouTube. If you are wanting to be have a YouTube channel, a lot of people, it's classic. They'll start out, they'll post like crazy for a month, and then they just give up. They give up right before it can possibly take off. So why most small businesses don't see results, research shows, and from my own personal experience and years of experience in doing this, is the failures come from posting only promotions, stopping before momentum builds, which I just covered, inconsistency, platform mismatch for your business. They don't have any content strategy. They're just kind of throwing everything at the wall. Not engaging back, meaning if someone comments, they're not responding to those comments, and then they have no boosting strategy. But The good news is these are definitely all fixable. So here's the formula for you. 70, 20, 10. So this basically means, as you break it down, 70% is going to be value content. Value content means educate, entertain, inspire. Just some examples, tips, 5 signs you need to tune up, how-tos, behind the scenes, customer stories. 20% engagement content. So these are conversation starters like polls, questions, community highlights, UGC or user-generated content. Obviously, when you're first starting out, you're not gonna, if you don't have a lot of followers, you got a new account, the engagement isn't gonna come into play yet. So you're gonna have to basically be pretty much mostly value content. And then you've got 10% promotional content. This is where you're going to have your sales and offers, $20 off this week only, now accepting appointments, etc. So the smallest percentage of your social media strategy should be promotional content, because remember, people organically on social media, they're looking for entertainment, they're looking for knowledge, they're looking for expertise, they want to be entertained, they want to be educated. They're not just out there hunting for promotions. But yes, you should definitely still promote your business, but let that be the smaller percentage of your content. This is about building awareness, getting that snowball going. So basically what it says, if people don't get value, they won't follow you. And that is true. Think about it from your perspective. Are you going to follow a business that's just constantly promoting, content, promotional content and offers versus someone that's offering something to you that you find valuable? They're educating you or entertaining you. So what to post? High performing content for 2025. This isn't really not in any particular order, but these are just pieces of content as examples, behind the scenes. The reason why these are these work well is because it shows you're authentic. It shows that, there's humans behind the scene here, that you're real people, that you're a real business, and there's people behind that business. Short form video, of course, everyone knows this one, Reels, TikTok, Shorts. Videos under 30 seconds outperform all other formats by 250% across the board. Customer success stories, even if you cannot get video testimonials, I still highly recommend that you use screenshot graphics from testimonials you've gotten that are text form. You can dress them up a little bit with a graphic on Canva and post those. And I would say it's worth it to post at least a few of those a month if you've got enough testimonials to do it. Video testimonials, though, if you can get those, they are just so powerful. I mean, you can repurpose that content, not just on social media, but embedding that on your website as well. And then you have educational content, which we just discussed, that solves a problem, it builds trust, it drives conversions. And also it shows your authority in your niche. So, you're the business, you're the person that people can trust for this particular thing. And then community content. This is more on a local level. So if you're a local business, supporting local events humanizes your brand. So, you might post about a local event going on in your area, and make a little blurb about that. Platform recommendations. So this can get people stuck, and there could be a mismatch here for businesses, and this could be an issue, which I mentioned earlier. Facebook pretty much is going to be good for most all local businesses. It's pretty general. If you don't know where to start, Facebook's typically always going to be the place to start. It's great for events, community groups, and definitely strong for older demographics. But it is the place to start when all else fails and you cannot figure out where you want to start. Facebook is the place to start. Instagram, it can be good for almost all businesses too. It is more beneficial for visual industries where you have a lot of visuals, and that's important. Like if you were a tour company, doing riverboat tours, or you were doing hair and you want to show before and afters, that sort of thing. But Instagram can work for a variety of businesses. I mean, even HVAC. I mean, you can have before and after, photos and then put some text with it. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do there. Stories and Reels dominate there, per usual with video. That seems to be the overarching theme. Location tags drive foot traffic. And what I mean by location tags is in Instagram, you can use location tags like whether, say you were that tour company and you were going to go buy a certain location that's really popular, you can use that as a tag, or just tagging your location in general, like the city or town that you're located in. Trying to do that every time you make a post. TikTok is best for younger audiences. This is even shifting. I mean, even older audiences are on TikTok too. It does have high viral potential, but you definitely need frequency. With TikTok, at the very least, you more or less have to post at least once per day. If you really want to get a good start, sometimes posting twice per day spread out is even better. The thing about TikTok is there's not really a way to localize it necessarily. You can use keywords, which definitely do help. That helps people discover you through search, using your city, like if it was Indianapolis, Indiana, making sure you put those in there and put those in the keywords and the hashtags. Now, it's still a good search engine for young people, but if you're in a national audience, regional audience, or international audience, TikTok more or less is a no-brainer, because you could go viral, and going viral when you're that type of business would really matter. Where if you're like a local business, like a hair salon, for instance, going viral on TikTok, you will get something from that. But I mean, someone on the other end of the country is not going to be one of your clients or customers. So you have to think of it that way. LinkedIn, most definitely, obviously, best for B2B audiences, B2B industries, professional services. If you are a B2B company or business, you most definitely have to be on LinkedIn, and not just LinkedIn in terms of having a business page. You should definitely have a company page, but also as a thought leader. So if you're the CEO of the business, or if you have someone in your company who likes to be very active, having that sort of a thought leader post in their own individual LinkedIn account, and even having your employees share the post, really helps you get a leg up on your competition. That could be a whole nother webinar going into LinkedIn alone, just like all of these platforms. But just as a high level overview, both a company page and then as a personal, and even if you don't post anything yourself to your personal LinkedIn, even just sharing your company post from your company page and then putting a little blurb with that, putting your own little spin on it. So choose two and master them. If for most businesses, Facebook and Instagram is going to be, for local businesses, it's going to be the way to go. But if you are B2B, Facebook and LinkedIn, for instance, or if you're very visual and you're also still B2B, Instagram and LinkedIn. But pick two, really focus in on them. So posting frequency, here's the truth. So 3 to 5 quality posts per week is the ideal range. One time per week is not going to get it. You get zero algorithm traction. It'll just really go nowhere. Multiple times per day, you will get an algorithm penalty on most of these platforms other than TikTok, and in some cases Instagram, if you post far enough apart on Instagram. But consistency definitely beats intensity. Now this is based on not only my experience, but the research. So the next couple slides, either the best days and times to post on social media, and this is overall. So this is considering all channels. So basically the best day, and these are actually ranked, the best day to post on social media, no matter the platform, is normally going to be on Wednesday. It's the #1 highest engagement day overall. Thursday comes in second, Tuesday third, Friday fourth, and Monday fifth. So as you can see the pattern here, Tuesday through Thursday is going to be the prime times to post. Not to say that you shouldn't post on Friday or Monday, but those are definitely at the bottom of the barrel there. So the worst would definitely be Saturday and Sunday. That's the lowest engagement across nearly all studies, and from my own personal experience as well. And there are rare cases. If you are a tourism type industry or something like that, sometimes that can work, but normally you stay away from Saturdays and Sundays. Best times to post on social media, this again is overall. These are universal posting windows, so 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., And you see, I broke this down based on platform a little bit too, but this really is sort of overall. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. works well for Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. That's that early workday scroll period. And then you've got 12 to 2, you've got the midday and engagement spike. Of course, this is when people are typically on their lunch break. It sort of covers the gamut there. It's great for LinkedIn and Facebook. And then 6 to 9 p.m., this can work. This is the evening scroll, but this is especially good for like Instagram and TikTok. Facebook is kind of mixed, just depends on your industry and who your target audience is. But the single best time, overall time to post out of the day and time is going to be Wednesday at 10 a.m. Showed up repeatedly as a universal high performance slot. I see this myself. Again, granted, depending on your industry, your type of business, your target audience, this can be a little different. Like I said, you could even have success on a Saturday if you're in the tourism industry. But normally across most industries and all platforms, Wednesday at 10 a.m. is going to be the best. So here's some simple rules to remember. So what not to do. Just these are the things you can kind of keep top of mind. Avoid weekends, especially Sunday. Avoid posting after 10 p.m. Avoid week mid-afternoon windows like 2 to 4, unless, of course, platform-specific tests tell you otherwise. What that means is after a couple months, and I'll cover that here in a second, after a couple months, you'll look at your data and you say, okay, this does work at this time. Avoid posting during commute times, which is 4 to 6 p.m. You obviously have a lower attention window there. But if you want the simplest universal posting strategy, and out of everything I've told you, just remember this: Tuesday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is the easiest thing to remember. So Tuesday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's going to be your best posting times. An optional secondary post would be 6 to 9 p.m., mainly for Instagram and TikTok. So this covers, basically 90% of what the research says. This also covers what my experience has shown as well, working with clients for the last 12 years. So before I move on to video, the one thing I did want to point out is when I mention these posting times, when you're first starting out, or even if you're not first starting out, say you decide I'm going all in on social after this webinar, I've been posting, but it's been erratic, and you're going to start posting consistently, go ahead and try to stick to the schedule, of course, that I told you, Tuesday through Thursday, but you can sprinkle in some posts on a Monday or Friday, or depending on your industry, possibly a Saturday. You can try other times. And the first couple months are the time to try that, because the first 2 months, if you're posting consistently, you're going to get a lot of data to look at. So after that 2 months is over, you can look at your analytics, whether you have a universal analytics to look at every platform, you can look at your Google Analytics, or even platform specific. You can look at Meta and see, what's working and what's not. They're really good about showing you which are the most popular posts and, what are the best times to post and that sort of thing. So when you look at that data, you might find that there's particular times that just work extremely well for your business. And if that's outside of what I've told you here today, believe your data, because your business is unique, your audience is unique. And if that's working for you, always make sure you post your most impactful content at that time and that day. So that's kind of why I just want to touch on that, is always let the data guide you. So why video matters so much. Video's mattered for a long time now, but it's not going away. It's only going more that direction, especially this year, going into 2026 and beyond. So research shows that short form videos outperform static posts by 250% or more. Video drives the most discovery across all platforms. That is because video gets the most reach. Meta or TikTok, or especially TikTok, of course, is video first. Instagram, even LinkedIn. LinkedIn has went all in on short form video as well. So that's going to get you the most reach because the algorithm pushes video, and that's why you'll get the most discovery out of that for your business. Video is the backbone of social commerce and search, and the best part, you don't need to overcomplicate it. You really just need a smartphone. That smartphone that you have in your pocket or sitting on your desk right now has got an extremely powerful camera. Whether it's an iPhone or Android, doesn't matter. The level of that camera is more or less what a few years ago you would buy a professional camera that it can do the same thing. So you're talking about extreme quality. There's some settings in there, some things you can do. Again, that could be a whole other webinar, but that camera that you have in that phone is more than enough. So here's some AI tools that make video easier. I mean, AI is only building steam. It's been coming now for a few years, and things are just moving at a rapid pace. You know, some of these tools you don't even think of as being AI because they've been around before AI, but they do have tons of AI features that can really help you make your day easier, make your content production easier, and just make you more efficient. CapCut, people are probably familiar with the mobile version of CapCut that people use for TikTok, but CapCut also has a desktop version that runs natively on your desktop or laptop. It's a great video editor. There is a bit of a learning curve, but it's not as intense as like DaVinci Resolve or some of these higher end video editors. But it is full featured. It pretty much offers some of the same features that they do. But it's just a little more user friendly. They do have templates. They have tons of features. Like one, for instance, I'll tell you right now is amazing. It's not that expensive either. I think you can get CapCut for a year, professional CapCut on desktop for like $120 or something like that. The AI feature there that really stands out to me that could really help you out is automated subtitles. But not only that, because other platforms have that too, but it also will remove the dead space in your videos and the filler words. So if you say a lot, which I'm guilty of, I just said it again. So if you say a lot, it's going to remove those for you. It'll list it off in a panel. And if there's something it accidentally chose that you want to leave in there, you can uncheck it. But you just click a button, removes it. And I've seen on average, you know, you can have a 7.5-minute video that you made. It'll drop it down to like 5.5 minutes. And I know that's shocking. You're thinking to yourself, there's no way there was 2 minutes of dead space and filler words, but believe me, I've seen it over and over again. So that helps you. It just picks up the pace on your video, so there's not a lot of dead space in there. And then you've got Canva, of course. Everyone knows Canva. It's of course not just for video. It's mainly, you know, was originally created for static posts and making graphics. But they've really expanded, and they, if anything, you find the learning curve on CapCut a bit too much, which with a few tutorials on YouTube, you can figure out the basics on CapCut. But if you find that a bit too much, Canva is very easy to use for video. They have tons of templates. You know, you more or less can plug and play. Find some templates you like for platform specific, you know, mobile video size, and you can search for templates and you just kind of fill in the blanks and you put your images or your video footage in there. It has an awesome B-roll catalog, same with their images, awesome catalog of those stock images. They're high quality. Use those whenever you can in there if you have to. It does have auto captions. The captions aren't as nice as CapCut. CapCut offers all sorts of styles of captions and options, but Canva, at the very least, is going to get you going. ChatGPT, everyone knows and loves it, and there's other LLMs out there, but ChatGPT is the most known and most used, I think, by everyone. This is great for your scripts, your captions, your hooks. The key to ChatGPT, though, is not just, you know, logging into ChatGPT and just saying, hey, make me a video about this. You have to give it context. You have to tell it what it is the expert in. You know, you have to tell it it's an expert at, you know, script writing. You can even drop some names in there, famous script writers. You can Google that, look that up, drop that in there, and sort of prime the ChatGPT before you even ask it anything. So it knows the context, it knows what you're looking for. You can also train it on your business, which is, I highly recommend you doing that. And you can create projects with that, where every time you save it as a project, that chat window is a project. And every time you want to go back to that for script writing for your business, you just click on that project, it opens it up. You can have more chats, you can go back to the previous. But one thing you can do is upload documents, give it your URL, give it examples of videos you've done in the past or things you've written. So it's trained on your tone and your voice. And that way it's more authentic. It doesn't sound like AI. And it's very good at coming up with hooks, and of course scripts. So I highly recommend that. 11 Labs. This is not video per se, but it is for voiceovers, and now sound effects. You can pretty much prompt it to give you any sound effects you desire. Voices, tons of professional voices to use. They sound really, really good. I'm sure you've watched videos and didn't even know that they were using an AI voice because they've gotten that good now. The one very neat thing about 11 Labs is that you can clone your own voice. There's a couple ways to do it. You can do a quick clone, which is decent quality, or you can do a more trained clone where you need about 30 minutes of audio from you. So if you have a video, you could pull the MP3 from, or you can read a book to a microphone and record it. And speaking of microphones, try to use something more than, the phone camera is great, but as far as the audio, you definitely want to try to use a decent microphone, $100 or more. There's different ones, Blue Yeti, different ones like that, but that's going to give you the best quality for voice and make it not sound, distorted, or it's just going to be a higher quality, studio quality. But anyway, you can record your voice reading a book through a microphone. And if it has 30 minutes of that from you, it creates a really, really good voice clone. Your own family wouldn't even be able to tell. I've done this, so it works. And then you've got HeyGen. This offers several things, but the main one is obviously the avatar videos. You can choose avatars that are baked into HeyGen. They've got tons to choose from, different genders, etc. You can go with that. They've got their own voices baked in there. They use 11 Labs for some of that. But here's where this is really, really profound. You can actually use HeyGen to clone yourself. So if you are a thought leader with your business, you're the business owner, and you're like, I would love to put out all this content, but I just don't have the time, filming myself all the time, and and going through this process, making mistakes, having to refilm it, etc. This is where HeyGen is a massive time saver. You can actually clone yourself. It's trained on video that you either record natively on HeyGen or you upload to HeyGen. It just needs over 2 minutes of video from you. The more, the better. You use your normal hand gestures, look right at the camera, speak normally, and you can get a really good trained avatar that, I'm not saying it would fool your family, but it comes very close to. It's not quite perfect yet, but I guarantee in the next 6 months to a year, it's going to be there. But even right now, there are influencers and people that have done tests where they've inserted their avatar in and people didn't even know. So it's pretty amazing, really. So what you can do with that is you can just feed that scripts that, again, ChatGPT writes for you, trained on your voice. Feed that scripts. It's going to have your voice. It's going to be you. You can either not say anything. You don't have to reveal, hey, this is my AI version, but a lot of people actually do. They say, hey, Bob is busy running the business, but I'm Bob's avatar, and I just wanted to talk to you today about, etc. So that's something you can do. It's a huge time saver. HeyGen also offers, it's in beta right now, you can generate videos based on prompts, where either use your avatar, one of theirs, or no avatar at all, and it comes up with AI created footage or B-roll or both. And then you've got Opus Clip. This is one of many. There's many other competitors. I use this, I've used others, but this is where you repurpose your long videos into shorts. So instead of you painstakingly going through a 10-minute video and clipping out impactful, with editing tools, impactful moments with CapCut and having to do all that yourself, tools like Opus Clip, you just feed it your long form video and it's going to automatically do that for you. And normally what it does is ranks it based on its viral potential or how impactful it is. and then it's already pre-edited, has subtitles, some effects, etc., then you can even edit it further if you want. But normally I find that what it produces, or what these type of tools produces, is definitely good. So you normally don't have to do too much editing, if at all. So those are some tools you can use. There's tons of others. Again, we can have a whole webinar on that too. AI won't replace the authenticity, but it will save you hours. And to stay authentic, again, train these things on you, on your business, on your voice, and it's going to be more authentic. It's still coming from you. It's still your content. But yeah, you're just using these AI tools to save you time so that you can produce content and compete. Pay to play, so boosting posts versus paid ads. Boosted posts, so what's the difference? Boosted posts are best for awareness, engagement, use on high performing posts. Try to boost 2 to 6 hours after posting. That's not hard and fast rule. I mean, you can, even 48 hours later or a week later, if you see a post is doing really well organically, that's the algorithm and your audience signaling to you that, hey, this resonated. This is a good post. And if the data is telling you that's a good post, that's a good post to boost. And we're not talking about a lot of money here. You could put like it says $5. I mean, you go $5, $20, $50 total. It'll run each day, and it will boost your post. And you can, choose your audience. It's not as detailed as when you're doing a paid ad on Meta, for instance, where you have more targeting options. But it definitely works for organic boosted posts when you're putting a little bit of budget behind it. Paid ads, which is through the ads manager on these platforms. The difference is, whereas boosted posts is for awareness, engagement, followers, getting your brand out there just in general. Paid ads is more direct. It's for lead generation, e-commerce sales, retargeting people who have visited your website, who have engaged with you, and for A/B testing. So A/B testing, if you don't know what that means, it just means you take one video, for instance, at 30 seconds, put it up against another one that's 30 seconds, but they're both a little different headline for each one. You run both at the same time congruently, and then you see which one performs better. So that's where paid ads would come into play. So the rule here is boost for visibility and run ads for conversions. Social SEO. So this is a new reality. I mentioned this earlier. 64% of Gen Z actually uses TikTok for search, which means they actually search TikTok for things. So that's where captions with keywords, are going to give you higher reach. So when they're searching, if you have your location in those captions with those keywords, again, I'll use Indianapolis as an example. You have that in there. You have what type of business you are. When they go to search, there's a likelihood that you'll show up when they do that search. Sort of like organic SEO on the internet in general. Location keywords, again, increases local discovery. You'll want to put those in there. Some examples: best HVAC company in Indianapolis, Indiana, or how to maintain blonde hair color. If you're more of a not location based, but you're selling something to a wide audience across the whole US or internationally, use those type of keywords in your content on TikTok, for instance. But this applies also to Instagram and Facebook as well. Hashtags definitely still matter, but smart ones. It used to be that people would stuff hashtags. The algorithms do not like that. They will penalize you for that. So try to stick to just 3 to 5 very relevant hashtags. One of them I always recommend should be your business name. One of them, if you're a local business, should always be your location. And then the other 1 to 2 or whatever can be what that particular content is about. But always try to have your business name and the location that you're serving. Reputation, this is your social currency. So as a small business, you must optimize your Google business profile. I know that isn't traditionally considered organic social media, but this is very important and fits into this whole puzzle. Because when someone does go to Google to look for you, they're going to see your reviews. They're going to see that your profile is up to date on Google. Then they're most likely the next step is looking at your social media profiles, if not the first, and in reverse. They might do it the other way around, but they're going to research you. So you definitely want to have that in line. Do some review campaigns if you need to get some of your happy customers to give you reviews. Keep the info consistent across all profiles, make sure that they all more or less match up. You don't want to have one business location be different on one than the other, obviously, or the phone number. Try to keep that all consistent. Ask for reviews, like I just mentioned. Respond to every review. If it's a positive review, respond to it and say, thank you, we really appreciate your business, etc. If it's a negative review, it's even more important to respond. You get a bad review, most definitely respond to it in a very professional way. Don't get drug out into an argument or anything like that. Just be professional, but just make sure you at least respond. And then, of course, share your best reviews as posts, which I mentioned earlier. So you can, use Canva, create a graphic. They even have templates already set up for this, where you can plug in those reviews of your business and use that as a post. And I highly recommend doing that at least 1 to 2 times a month as a post, because your reputation obviously is your brand. So engagement, this is the secret growth lever. People trust people, not brands. So how do you engage? You engage by replying to every comment, which means you need to be active on social media, whether that's you or someone that works at your business. You should have someone that is monitoring your post. There's tools you can use as well, but just to keep this simple, if you have someone monitoring your posts, you get comments or you get direct messages. Make sure you're monitoring that and you respond to those. Engage by asking questions. When you make a post, you can ask a question like, what do you think? Say you're talking about a local event in your area, you say, what's your favorite part of this event? Or something like that. Gets people talking. Or even more so, people love to give their opinions, depending what kind of business you have or industry. If you ask like which kitchen remodel looks better, or which color of this Jeep is better, if you're selling cars, just asking questions. People love to give their opinion on social media, which you will definitely find that. Feature your followers. You can make posts if it's okay with the person to say so and so came in. You see this all the time with real estate. You see this with car sales a lot. They'll have a picture of them shaking their hand. They just made that deal. Congratulations on your new car or your new home, etc. That can be used in other industries as well. It doesn't just have to be for those two. Reposting customer photos. You have customers that have posted photos of something you've done for them, or something they bought from you. Repost those, and amplify it. And then, of course, showing your team. So showing behind the scenes, showing your team. For instance, if you run a tour company, you could be the driver of the month, or whatever. Or employee of the month, or so-and-so went above and beyond and is always there to help customers out, and things like that. That just shows that humanizes your brand. It helps create engagement, and people tend to like those kind of posts, literally like them. So social media is a two-way conversation. Most businesses only talk at people, so you want to make sure you engage with them. So what's working in 2025? Short form videos, behind the scenes content, community driven posts, user generated content, you'll hear called UGC, private groups. These would be like a Facebook group you create, local micro influencers, which are going to be people on a local or regional level that you engage with and possibly get them to promote your services or your products. Authentic storytelling. People love storytelling. If you can put a story with a post, even if it's a very short story, people love that. Then having a balanced content strategy. So, having various types of posts, using video, using carousels, just static image posts. So what's coming in 2026? So in 2026, this has been something too that's worked for a while as well, is private communities. So if, for instance, Facebook group is going to be the most common, or LinkedIn group. If you're B2B, LinkedIn groups are amazing. Facebook groups can be B2B or B2C. Creating those groups based around something, not necessarily all about your business either. I mean, these are groups that are more generalized. Maybe they're groups about your particular area, or maybe they're groups of people that share a common interest that relates to your business. And then LinkedIn groups, sort of the same thing. These groups are great because you get higher engagement there than you do in the regular feed and through algorithms. Social search is becoming dominant. So like I mentioned before, keywords matter more than hashtag. You still want to have hashtags, but you do want to focus on the keywords. I mean, you want your content to sound human, obviously, and authentic, but make sure you definitely have the keywords in there. Again, if you're local, location, and then what the content is about. So always remember location if you can. Social commerce grows. So this is like TikTok Shop, Instagram Checkout, live shopping. This is going to be more for e-commerce, and if you sell products versus service, that's exploding. You've got more messaging, more sales. What this means is a lot of people prefer to DM you versus calling you or stopping in sometimes, especially in the initial stages of their journey going down your funnel. Make sure you're monitoring those direct messages and make sure you respond to them. And a lot of times you can close a lot of sales right there in the DMs. Rising ad costs. So creative quality is becoming the competitive edge. So everyone with AI in play, everyone is able to create a lot of ads, social ads, and content. It's starting to really ramp up. So quality is going to come in play here instead of just slop, just putting something out there to put it out there. Quality becomes extremely important, as well as being authentic. Again, AI and automation is everywhere. So again, being authentic continues to win. Here are some bonus tips. People get hung up on this. I want to make sure this is tip number one. Yes, you can recycle and utilize your old content if it's still relevant. That's a caveat. So something that was talking about a specific event that happened 2 years ago, obviously you don't want to repost that, but if it's still relevant, if it's still, like, say, educational, say you run a mechanic shop and it's about, checking your oil or something like that, it's evergreen content, most definitely go ahead and repost that and reuse it. Because remember, only a certain percentage of your followers are actually going to see your post, the initial post anyway. So go back to your old posts, repost them. You can repost them as is, or you can dress it up a little bit, edit the copy that's with it, the text that's with it, maybe change a hashtag if you want, but most definitely don't be afraid to recycle content. This will give you more content to use on social media, especially when you need to fill in the gaps and you're really busy. So what I always say is get as many miles out of your content as possible. And sure, if you have a few of your followers that might remember something you posted 3 months ago, who cares? It's not a big deal. They probably won't remember anyway necessarily. Plus, you're going to reach new people that have never saw the content. So most definitely recycle. Tip number 2, multiply your efforts. Again, getting as many miles as possible out of your content. So say, for instance, you produce a long form video or a webinar, turn that content into multiple impactful short form videos. If you're posting blog content, turn that into a post or even a video with AI tools. With AI video tools now, you can, in some cases, give it a link and it can create a video from that, or you can paste in the content to your script writer that you trained in ChatGPT and it can turn that into a video. But bottom line is max out your content. Use AI tools to make it easier, especially if you have long form video already or webinars, things like that. Repurpose that into a lot of smaller pieces of content. So 30-day action plan. This is just an example of what you can do just to start and stick with it. Week 1, choose your 2 platforms you want to focus on. Fix your profiles, make sure they're optimized, you have a good background image, make sure your logo looks good, make sure everything is filled out. Then map out 10 content ideas or general ideas. Again, if you need help with that, go back to your trained ChatGPT and you can ask it for some content ideas. Week 2, film 5 short videos. This is a good way to start. And if that is overwhelming, you may find that just filming one longer video that covers multiple things in one shot can work. And I've had clients do this. I've coached them through this where they're like, I don't have time to keep doing this video and then another video and etc. Try to do it all at one time, no matter what. Sit down and say, okay, for 2 hours today, I'm going to get this done. And if you don't want to film 5 short videos, film one longer video that covers 5 different topics. Then you can plug that into Opus, or you can go to CapCut or Canva and cut those into short form videos. Whatever works for you and whatever helps you get it done. Draft your captions and then start posting 3 times per week. 3 times per week is kind of the happy place. Oh, excuse me. So it's kind of the happy place to start. Like I said before, 3 to 5 times a week, but 3 times a week at a minimum. If you can hit that number, you'll be good to go. Stay consistent and keep doing that. Week 3, identify 2 to 3 posts to boost. So look at your posts, and if you see 1 or 2 of them that's gotten some pretty good engagement or reach, looking at your analytics, put $10 behind that and boost it. Or whatever you choose to put behind that to boost it, but boost that post and get it out there, because only a small percentage of your followers and people will see your post. So it's sort of, we're in that arena now where it's sort of a pay to play situation to some extent. So you want to make sure you're doing that. Ask for 5 reviews, try to get 5 customers, that are happy, or just do a blanket email or outreach to try to get 5 reviews. Whether that's Google reviews, and then you can repurpose those reviews into content. Add local keywords to your captions. And then week 4, this is month 1, you're going to look back and review your analytics, adjust your content mix, and then plan next month. So you're not going to get a lot of data yet at week 4, but you will get some. You will at least get enough to know what type of posts are at least inching towards performing well. And then you can double down on that while also still experimenting with different type of posts moving into month 2. By month 2, end of month 2, into month 3, you're going to have a lot more data on times to post, days to post that work the best for your business, and what type of content's working the best. Once you start seeing a trend and you start seeing what content's resonating, what type, like, hey, these carousels work really well on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. We need to keep making those because they really worked well compared to everything else. Or, hey, this short form video, this video that was only 15 seconds performed really well. So let's just keep making these 15-second videos, but always be testing. So always be creating new types of content as well. So again, consistency over perfection. This is where a lot of people get hung up. They will fret over the content. It'll go back and forth in their team, and they'll be like, well, maybe we shouldn't post this, maybe we should, and maybe we should add this. Take action. That's the most important thing, because it's, as long as it's on brand and there's nothing controversial in your content, post it. Get the data in, just get the content out there, get it posted. Don't fret over it being perfect. And then on month 3, you're looking at the data and you're able to say, okay, this type of post did well, let's double down on it. So the final takeaways: social media is essential, but it is not everything. Stop selling and start providing value. Choose 2 platforms and master them. Video beats everything else. Boost wisely and advertise intentionally. Just a little bit. Boost wisely, meaning look at what is resonating, boost that, and advertise intentionally, meaning you're trying to get leads, you're advertising intentionally there. Build trust, not just post. And then consistency wins. And most definitely consistency wins. I know I hammer that through, but don't try to be perfect, just try to be consistent. And with that, I'll turn it over to Riley for any questions, I guess, we might have. If anyone has any questions they want to drop in the chat, Also, Riley is going to put a link in the chat. If anyone needs any help with social media, you're feeling overwhelmed, you know, you don't know where to start and you might need help with that, you know, definitely check that link out and, you know, contact us if you need anything.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan. Yeah, I just went ahead and posted that that link in the chat. So if you do want to quote for social media services, just go ahead and fill out that form. So we'll move into the Q&A section now, and I don't see any questions yet. So we have a little bit of time if anyone has a burning question. Here we go. I think we just got one. How does using the same post across 3 LinkedIn feeds affect how LinkedIn analyzes your post for the algorithm?
I'm trying to understand the question. So using the same post across 3 LinkedIn feeds, is that what you said?
Yeah, 3 LinkedIn feeds affect how LinkedIn analyzes the post for the algorithm. And then they gave an example. Say 2 principals post the same post on their personal profiles, and that post is used for the company LinkedIn page. Does that hurt or harm the algorithm on LinkedIn?
No. As a matter of fact, LinkedIn, it's a business platform, and when they see that the company and the employees are active, so you're posting on the company page, and then you have several employees share that, you're going to get rewarded, not harmed. You know, that's showing that you have a good business culture, your employees are happy, they want to share your content, and it's sharing it into each of their own feeds. So you're not going to get penalized for, you know, I hear about duplicate content and that sort of thing with some things like SEO. This isn't the same way. You know, obviously, if they could at least put, I mean, they can just share it as is. They don't have to add anything to that. But if they wanted to add a little blurb, like, you know, if it was about a particular employee, the post, they can say, oh, you know, Mike's done a great job. Love working with him, and then share the post. But you don't even have to do that. Just you know, share the post and encourage your employees to share it.
Cool. And then we got another question from Jessica. For a restaurant regarding repurposing content, how do you come up with creative ideas without just showing the food?
That's interesting. Yeah. So in my experience with restaurants as both a marketer and as a consumer, you know, yeah, showing the food is impactful because, you know, I'm a taco guy, I love tacos. When I see images of what I like, it draws me in, and I want to go there. But, you know, coming up with ideas outside of showing the food, you know, again, focus on employees, you know, or, you know, behind the scenes, what goes into making all this happen, you know, what sort of work goes into it, kind of highlight some of that, and highlight an employee, or tell your story, you know, get personal, tell a quick little story about why I started this restaurant. You know, just, you know, there's all kinds of ideas you could come up with outside of the food. I mean, obviously the food is the big draw and that's what you're doing. And with restaurants, it is a little bit different. I mean, yeah, if you're constantly posting, hey, we have this special, I understand you have specials each week, and you most definitely should do that if you do have those type of things. But even just posting the food in a different light, not necessarily because it's on special, but if it's something new you're doing, or if you know, there's something in particular that's pretty neat about it, like maybe one of the ingredients is local, or, you know, something like that. Any event you're going to be at, if you're working with any other community events where your restaurant food's going to be served there, where if you've got a food truck or something like that. But lean into ChatGPT again. You know, you come up with so many ideas, feed that your URL, feed it anything that you have, your menu, you know, all kinds of stuff. You can train that on your voice, and you can help it come up with ideas for you. But yeah, there's tons of things you can do. And like I said, obviously food images are going to be the big draw still, but, you know, there's definitely other content you can do as well.
Cool. And we're out of time. I am seeing some additional questions come in. I'm going to follow up with each of you individually. And also, if you do think of a question after the webinar, just go ahead and just send me an email, and we'll go ahead and get that answered for you. What's going to happen is tomorrow morning, you're going to get an email with the recording of the webinar today and a link to the slides. So, if you do have a question, you can just reply to that email. And yeah, I think with that, Ryan, we can close. So thanks everyone for attending today's webinar, and thanks Ryan so much for today's presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Riley. Thanks everyone for attending. Hope you got some value out of it.
Alrighty guys, we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.